Well, our next topic is one a lot of us can certainly relate to, parenting young girls. Andrea Nelson-Lewis joins us in our author spotlight today with her new book, What to Expect When Your Daughter Hits Double Digits. Well, Andrea, welcome.
Thank you.
So what motivated you to write this book?
Well, when I was expecting, I used the resource, What to Expect When You're Expecting.
Right.
And that was a great book, and I used the other series. And I realized that information was great from a standard standpoint. When you have a young child, there are three things they need. Basic needs, they pee and poop. They sleep and they eat. But when they get older, fast forward to 10 years, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that because I know it's a lot, but I wanted something that related because there are a lot of clinical books that told you about people who didn't even have parents, who weren't even parents and didn't have children. So I wanted to relate. I get that. So that's why I wrote the book.
And you have a daughter.
I do have a daughter.
So did you kind of write this after you kind of did that transition into double digits?
Well, I wrote it while I was in that stage. I actually did. I did some research.
Along the way.
Yes, because it was so hard. I thought it was going to be very easy, and it wasn't. So I did interviews with teens and their parents. And so it was
you did your homework, girl.
I did a lot of homework, and that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be a relatable book and something that could reassure parents that what they're going through is okay. Other people are going through it, and I want to make sure they had some tools in their toolkit to actually help with their children and their individual needs.
Because that's important, you know, because as a parent, you know, like I have a little girl and she'll do something and it's like, is that normal? Or is that, you know, it's nice to know that there are other people going through the same thing.
That's correct.
So what makes this book different?
Well, two things. One is it's an actual experience of teens and their parents from tween years to 20s. Because they actually, the people tell you what they're doing while they're in the teen years, and then they also look back and tell you what they did wrong and what helped. So it's from teens to actually 20 years old. And then also, I give a blog on my website for support. So it's not just the book, but it's actual experience and the blog for support.
So do you think if people read this book that they'll kind of have a successful period with their kids at that age? You hope so, right?
But as you know, there are no guaranteed success. But what you do know is that your child is an individual and is different. She's going to be a teenager, and as a parent, you are the expert. So this book actually supplements what you know about your child as the expert, and it gives actual experience so you can have flexibility to raise your individual child.
What do you think is most important? Being a parent after writing this book, I mean, at the end of the day, what is the most important piece of advice you would give to parents?
Well, I have three things that I would give to parents. One is give your best. So that's all you can do is give your best. The second is forgive your worst, because you do not want some of your parenting things on Facebook or on the front of Post and Courier, but also forgive your daughter's worst, because she's going to have those days, and you're like, is that my child? And then the last thing that you want to do is you live your life, because your daughter or the way that you raise your child is going to be different than others, so you raise for your ethics, but then also know that what worked for you when you were a child may not work for your child today. So be flexible with that. So if you do those three things, you should have a successful, confident, independent young lady.
And that's very important. Now, quickly, before we go, where can we find your book?
Well, it's on Amazon, but if you go to AndreaNelsonLewis.com, there's a link for anything in the States or in other areas, because I've actually had people buy it outside of the States too.
Awesome. Sounds like a great book. I'm going to go buy it after this. I'm going to need that as my daughter gets older. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. We'll be back after this.
Restless leg syndrome. It's a living nightmare.